Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm your digital host, Tatyana White, and welcome back to another episode of the 48 Recap, the one stop shop to catch up on some of the top news stories of the week, including the latest on the U.S. Israel attacks on Iran, updates on a new lawsuit in the case of a Huntsville church daycare accused of hiring a man who is now charged with several child sex abuse charges. A raid by ICE and the FBI leaves a Madison County neighborhood shook, a tragic story of a young Huntsville girl who recently died by suicide. A new Alabama bill could protect children on social media, some incredible Black History Month stories, and much more. And so I hope you all are having a great weekend. I'm doing this 48 recap on a Sunday instead of yesterday on my usual day of Saturday because we had a lot of coverage going on for the U.S. Israel attacks on Iran, which we'll talk about those attacks in a few moments. So it kind of, getting all that information out, I couldn't get on here, but still wanted to give you all a recap of our top stories, including those attacks again. But I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend, enjoying the beautiful weather. And I'm glad this weekend wasn't as cold as some of our past weekends have been. And time moves forward next week. So on Sunday, I believe March 8th, our clocks are going to move forward again. So we'll be getting those longer days back, which I'm very, very excited about, and getting to enjoy the weather and the sunsets and just longer days with light. So very excited about that. And I'm sure we'll give you all reminders leading up to Sunday to remember to move those clocks forward. But let's get into this weekend's recap. So one of our top news stories, as I mentioned earlier, is a national one. Iran now confirms its supreme leader was killed in American and Israeli airstrikes on Saturday morning. And so there have been reports of hundreds of civilians that were killed and injured, along with several of Iran's top leaders. And so the country's cabinet vowed, quote, "This great crime will never go unanswered," with Iran's military saying, quote, "A severe, decisive, and regret-inducing punishment is coming." And so after the attacks, Iran launched several waves of missiles at Israel and at U.S. bases in the Middle East. And there's multiple videos online claiming to show U.S. bases being hit and damaged. And so we learned today from the U.S. Central Command that 3 service members from the U.S. were killed and 5 were seriously wounded during these attacks. And they also said several others sustained minor injuries and concussions and are in the process of being returned to duty. And so the identities of those service members who were killed have not been released yet. They mentioned that they're probably not going to release those identities until they can tell the next of kin about the passing of their family member. But we are also hearing from local political experts and representatives of the local Muslim community here in North Alabama about this ordeal. And on the political side, one former congressman says he thinks this attack should never have happened this way. But meanwhile, a spokesperson for this local Islamic group is worried this might lead to violence or discrimination against local Muslims. 48's Faith Delp has more on this.
This should have never happened. We know this should never have happened.
Former Congressman Parker Griffith said he believes President Trump does often act impulsively. He thinks this decision to attack Iran should have passed through Congress before action was taken. Political analyst Dr. Wayman Burke agrees, but he said this isn't the first time we've seen a president go around Congress in making a decision to strike another country. Either way, Burke says the attack and the apparent death of Iran's supreme leader means the U.S. is committed to see this through to the end.
Even if many people disagree with the actions, we want our military to prevail because it's in our interest, even if they disagree with the actual policy. I think that's true for many Americans.
I also spoke to Britton O'Shields, who is the staff attorney in Alabama for Council on American Islamic Relations. She spoke on behalf of the Muslim community and said this is the last thing many in the community want.
I think the Muslim community is feeling a lot like the broader American people in the sense that they don't want this war.
O'Shields adds this attack is raising many concerns for Muslims.
There's a lot of concern that this event will be used to justify the oppression of Muslims domestically here in the United States. That's sort of where I think everyone's concerns lie right now.
Burke and Griffith don't know what comes next, but both agree on keeping our troops safe.
Where does it go? And I would say we really don't know for certain.
I just pray that we don't lose any Americans.
As this develops in Iran, WAFF 48, we will keep you updated with the latest as we learn more. And we have a 48 News update where a church daycare is denying any wrongdoing or negligence on its part after they were sued over sex abuse allegations involving a former employee. Trinity United Methodist Church leaders claim they should not be held responsible for the former employee's alleged crimes, stating they went through the proper hiring procedures. The church and 3 women named in a lawsuit filed their response to the lawsuit on Friday. They're being sued by parents whose children claim to be victims of Cameron White. He is in the Madison County Jail facing 8 counts of child sex abuse, and the church's response to the lawsuit claims that White's conduct was, quote, not reasonably foreseeable to Trinity. The church asks for a trial by jury in the lawsuit. And sheriff's deputies in Louisiana, they worked with the FBI and the Limestone County Sheriff's Office to arrest a 24-year-old Athens man identified as Landon Westfall. He's charged with 2 counts of criminal assistance to suicide, 261 counts of indecent behavior with a juvenile, and 15 counts of pornography with a juvenile. His bond was set at $750,000. This investigation started last October when deputies in Louisiana learned that Westfall had tried to get the girl to harm herself. After weeks of investigation, investigators went to Westfall's home, which is nearly 500 miles away, and made that arrest. Investigators say Westfall met the teen while playing Roblox, which is an online virtual game that allows players to chat during gameplay. And investigators also said those chats led to other platforms, and it eventually led to video calls before Westfall reportedly became threatening and verbally abusive. So we're told the FBI is investigating, and this is an ongoing investigation, and federal charges are pending. WAFF will keep you updated as this case develops. And federal agents spent much of their day on Wednesday going up and down a Meridianville neighborhood. Our team asked FBI and ICE officials about their presence in the Bermuda Lake subdivision, and they said it was for, quote, labor concerns. Agents were seen at homes escorting some residents into their cars. And so in total, 7 agencies were present in this one neighborhood, including ICE, the FBI, and Homeland Security.
Next door neighbor was in one of the houses, and I just woke up to some commotion, and I had to look out the window, and I seen him down there. It was like 7:33. He had called me and told me look out my window, and I seen this car right there. It wasn't too much attention out here.
But it wasn't too much attention. We didn't have all of this.
The agencies left a few hours later with some of the residents in their custody. The homes involved are believed to be rentals, but the names of renters who may have been picked up are not known at this time. And now to a tragic story out of Madison County. The last words written in 12-year-old Lindsay Mae Swan's journal was, quote, "It's too late for me. Please talk to someone, even if they look and act okay. They might make it because of you." The Mountain Gap Middle School student died by suicide last week, and here at WAFF, we rarely cover suicides, but Lindsay Mae's family wants you to hear this message, and perhaps it may help you or your child or someone else. 48's investigative reporter Nick Ballinger has more on this story.
Even before she was born, I knew she was special.
12-year-old Lindsay Swan was full of nothing but life.
She stuck up for others that were afraid to speak up for themselves and dared anyone to push around her friends or her siblings.
Her mom and stepdad say their sweet pea never met a person she didn't like.
She refused to fail at anything and never gave up until she got it down.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Between sports, playing outside, video games, and hanging out with friends, the Mountain Gap middle schooler had the typical 12-year-old life.
One day we go.
There wasn't a roller coaster that she was scared to get on.
She was so brave.
Yeah.
Most of all, Lindsay loved life. She loved her friends and family, and her smile would light up the room.
On the outside, she was thriving.
Her biggest dream was to be a marine biologist, study sharks, and save the whales.
Inside, she was struggling. She would never get to realize those dreams. Lindsay took her own life last week.
For the most part, she seemed great. You know, the day before she passed, she was laughing and smiling, and we were making plans for the future.
She's giving you those flowers. And
When her father died 4 years ago, her mom said Lindsay felt it the hardest.
That brought on a lot of heartache for her. Before she started middle school, I really tried to prepare her because middle school girls can be ruthless. Kids were mocking her and weaponizing the fact that her father had passed away. And it was infuriating. I couldn't believe it. Confusing for them. You know, they don't understand why they're being treated that way. I would smile through my stress and sorrows, but she knew when I was feeling down, and she would be my biggest comfort.
No matter what it was, they would go through it together.
And I had these conversations with her. So, I mean, the fact that this happened to her it could happen to anybody. She will never be forgotten. Sometimes the brightest lights are dimmed too soon.
She says her daughter told her friends months ago what she planned to do.
They would have told somebody. It could have very well saved her life.
I think we need to be more aware and look for any signs, no matter how small they are.
You know, there's so much shame associated with it that people are afraid to come forward and be open about it. It may seem young, but we absolutely need to be having these conversations. If you see something, say something.
Because if you don't, there may be more mothers who have to read their daughter's eulogy.
Not only was she beautiful on the outside, she was beautiful on the inside. She was my mini-me, my best friend, and the light of my life.
And all they have left is a note from her journal.
It's too late for me. Please talk to someone. Even if they act or look okay, they might make it because of you.
My heart goes out to Lindsay's family, and according to the State Department of Health, Alabama currently ranks 8th in the country for teen suicide, and nearly 1 in 12 Alabama high school students report trying to take their lives, and that risk is even higher for young LGBTQ+ teens. Experts say talking to someone about suicide typically does not increase the risk, but it could help save a life. If you'd like to talk to someone, call the Crisis Lifeline at 988. And in an age now where your kids are constantly glued to screens, there will soon be limits across Alabama for the younger ones. House Bill 78 is now going to the governor's desk and would place a cap on how much screen time children 5 and younger will get. 48's Noah Cowell talked to experts and parents on what this means for your child.
Studies show 90% of a child's brain is developed by age 5, which is why there's a big push here in Alabama to make sure that much of that development isn't ruined by a screen. If passed, the Healthy Early Development and Screen Time Act would limit the screen use of children in public daycare, pre-K, and kindergarten classes. A task force led by the Department of Early Childhood Education will decide the limits on ages 2 to 5, and children under 2 years old won't get any screen time in the classroom. Screen time at home, however, is still the parents' responsibility. Multiple parents told me they fully support this bill. They've seen firsthand how their young children's skills improve more away from screens, something echoed by the bill's sponsor, Gina Ross.
We know that active learning, that hands-on experience is exactly how children learn. They learn through play. They're able to hear and to talk and to grow and have that sense of discovery and creativity that a screen just cannot give them. It has to be that human interaction.
Ross says many have asked her, why not just add restrictions for students over 5 years old as well? She says we may see in the coming weeks that they will look to limit Chromebook usage for those older students. Reporting in Huntsville, Noah Cowell, 48 News on your side.
And Instagram, they actually recently started rolling out a new feature where they will begin alerting parents if their teen repeatedly searches for terms related to suicide or self-harm. The notifications will be sent by email, text, or even WhatsApp to parents, and parents will also receive a notification directly through their own Instagram account. Instagram's parent company, Meta, says this is a part of a broader effort to improve teen safety online, and the company is currently facing 2 trials right now, questioning if the platform delivers deliberately causes addiction and harm to children. And the countdown is over. Alabama's first IKEA is now officially open, and it's right here in the Rocket City. The new store opened on Wednesday, and it is located at the University Place Shopping Center with Giga Parts and the 88 buffet. And when our crews arrived to the grand opening Wednesday morning, just before 5 a.m., people were already in line. The line was all the way wrapped around, and several customers were given free promotional items. And we caught up with one couple who said they pulled an all-nighter, crossed state lines, and arrived at around 4 that Wednesday morning for the grand opening.
So around 1 a.m. Eastern time, we drove down from Knoxville, Tennessee to get here. About 4 hours later, at 4.
And then we thought we were going to get to take a nap. I love plant-based Swedish meatballs.
I love the small little furniture. They have a lot of unique storage options.
So IKEA, along with the Swedish Bistro, is open daily from 11 to 7. And so hopefully some of you were able to check it out this weekend or will be able to stop by at some time. I haven't gone yet, but I definitely want to go, and mainly to try out the Swedish food options they have, but also I'm sure I can find some wonderful, good furniture pieces, some nice little final touches to my place. I'm sure they probably have, but I hope you all are able to stop by at some point to Alabama's first IKEA. And as Black History Month came to a close, I wanted to share another story from our Black History Month series. So for decades, one small school in Collinsville stood as the center for education for Black students in DeKalb County. And so during segregation, the Gregory School shaped generations, and its legacy is still being preserved today. 48's Will Eldridge spoke to local historians at the Collinsville Museum about the school's powerful history.
In the heart of Collinsville, displayed inside the Collinsville Museum, are pieces of history of a school that once meant everything to the Black community in DeKalb County, the Gregory School. Sam Gregory, a local farmer, opened the original school on land he purchased. Before integration in the late 1960s, Gregory School served as the only public school for Black children in Collinsville and the surrounding Sand Mountain area. Inside the museum, old class photos, yearbooks, and worn textbooks reveal more than lessons in reading and math. They reflect resilience during segregation.
They didn't have a lot of money. Not a lot was allocated, and then the patrons were few and far between, I guess you might say. It was a struggle.
Despite those challenges, Barksdale says former students remember caring teachers and community support from DeKalb County.
They used a lot of hand-me-downs. They used things like band uniforms. They came from another school. And the Collinsville White School, if you want to call it that, donated a lot of things. They did have football teams, basketball teams, bands.
And the athletes were said to be so good, they attracted people from around DeKalb County to watch them play.
Their band, with their rhythm, the band, that's what made their band good. It's different from
they were compared to Gadsden Band and bigger bands. They were just really great. And the teams were too. They played big schools.
The man responsible for keeping Gregory School running was its principal, Andrew C. Small. Barksdale tells me Small would sew stripes into the donated uniforms to give Gregory School a unique look from the schools they played against.
So Mr. Small, there's one article that talks about him sewing stripes on the band uniforms. So they would have, a nice band uniform. So he was just a jack of all trades and did what he could to see them grow and have a good education.
Fragments of the original school building still stand today, preserving through all challenges, like the students in its classrooms. Will Eldridge, 48, on your side.
Yeah, that is such a wonderful story. And throughout Black History Month, all of our reporters have done really amazing stories and just showing that there's such a rich history here in the Tennessee Valley. And so I hope you all have had a chance to check out all of the Black History Month series that we had And here at WAFF, we've taken that time just to celebrate Black History Month by telling these stories that often go untold. And so we told them all month in February, from Black educators to Black-owned businesses down to Black swim teams and the first Black woman to join the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office. And so those stories and dozens more of those stories are available to watch on our website at WAFF.com and on our streaming apps. And again, our reporters, they did a really, really amazing job honoring Black history across the Tennessee Valley, so check them out if you can. And coming up after the break, we'll take a look at civil rights pioneer Claudette Colvin's life and legacy through the eyes of her son, Dr. Randy Colvin. We'll also look at stories coming up in our evening newscast. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 48 Recap. For our digital series, This Month Matters, I had the honor of talking with civil rights pioneer Claudette Colvin's son, Dr. Randy Colvin. For Black History Month, Dr. Colvin reflected on the life and legacy of his mother, Miss Claudette, the 15-year-old who refused to give up her bus seat 9 months before the more widely known arrest of Rosa Parks in Montgomery. He shares what she was like as a mother, the faith and conviction that grounded her courage, and how she hoped to inspire others to make a positive impact in their own communities. Take a listen to what he had to say about his mom's journey and legal fight with segregation.
From a legal standpoint, it was more complicated for them to make a legal position or a case. And the one thing that my mom and we would talk about is the one difference in her story and a lot of other things that took place is my mom literally refused to be moved. They had to take her off the bus, which she felt, when she kept saying it was a constitutional right under the 14th Amendment, she felt like her rights were being violated from that standpoint. So because her rights were being violated from a constitutional standpoint, and then the other three ladies that joined in the case, they were adults. My mom's testimony when she was was during the case, and even got affirmed and upheld by the Supreme Court, was grounded on that position of violating the 14th Amendment. So from that standpoint, she felt very, very pleased about that, and she prepared for it. She was gifted with the ability to communicate, understand at that age. That's why people were the thing why the story really took root is because my mom was actually testifying in court and had the case to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And her testimony and the things that she put forth and things that were brought out were valid, and they were foundational kind of issues. So she really appreciated and reflected on that, and she embraced it, and she was very thankful.
Yeah, it was so incredible talking with Dr. Colvin. He gave such deep insights into the life of his mom, and he talked about how close she was and like how she had a close relationship with Rosa Parks and how Miss Claudette wanted to take a stand in what she believed in. And another really cool thing is that Miss Claudette Colvin is 48 forecaster Jada Russell's great aunt, and Jada has also shared with me some amazing stories of Miss Claudette and how she was just very humble, and she was a great storyteller. and how she spent time with her. And it was just absolutely amazing. And she has a beautiful story. And so check out more of this interview, and you can visit WAFF.com to see more. Dr. Colvin did just an incredible job at sharing history and Miss Claudette Colvin's life from his eyes, and also just from the stories that she shared with him throughout his life. So it was truly such an honor to be able to sit down with him, and I hope you all are able to check it out. Now let's check out a story you can look for coming up in our evening newscast. So a child died and 4 other people were injured in a car crash in Decatur on Saturday. And the 2-vehicle collision happened near Alabama Highway 67 and 8th Street Southwest. When Decatur police officers arrived, they determined the wreck involved an SUV and a car, and a child in the car was pronounced dead at the scene by Morgan County Coroner Jeff Chun. 3 other people in the car and the driver of the SUV were taken to area hospitals for their injuries. A traffic homicide investigator was contacted, and they began an investigation. And so we'll update once we get identities and everything involved in this crash. So you can tune into our evening newscast to hear more details on this story and many others. That's all I have today for the 48 recap. Thank you all for tuning in. And don't forget to tune into 48's Weather Extra segments. Our meteorologists go live every Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. and every Saturday and Sunday in the morning and in the afternoon. Forecaster Jada Russell will join you all in just a little while at 4:30 p.m. for another edition of Weather Extra. So be sure to tune in, and she'll be talking more about storms that are possibly going to be coming through the Tennessee Valley next weekend. So she'll give a little bit more about that. Tune in if you want to learn more. And again, our Weather Extra segments are just another way to give you all extra insights on the latest weather forecast. So make sure to download our 48 apps and follow us on our Facebook and YouTube channel so you don't miss any updates on the news or on the weather. And if you would like to stay connected with me throughout the week, please be sure to follow my Facebook page at Tatyana White, WAFF48. I would love to connect with you all, so please feel free to reach out if you have any story ideas or anything. Earlier today, somebody actually sent some video of one of the stories that we had, and so, things like that are always helpful. So any videos, pictures, news tips, or just wanting to have conversation, please feel free to reach out. Take care, everyone. I will see you all back here next Saturday. I hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday, and I hope you all have a great week ahead.